The desert wind howled across the military base in New Mexico as Captain Jake Morrison walked toward the massive hangar. His boots crunched on the sandy ground while the morning sun painted the sky orange. Today would change everything for humanity, though Jake didn't know it yet. Inside the hangar, something enormous waited under heavy canvas covers. Workers moved around it like ants around a sleeping giant. The thing was huge, bigger than 3 city buses placed end to end, and twice as tall. Its shape looked rough and blocky, nothing like the smooth alien ships that flew through space with grace. Dr. Lisa Carter stood near a computer terminal, checking numbers on her screen for the 100th time. Her short brown hair was messy from running her hands through it all night. She had not slept much in weeks. This project was her baby, her life's work, and today the whole galaxy would see it. "Are you ready for this, Lisa?" Jake asked as he approached her. Lisa looked up from her screen and smiled, though her eyes showed worry. "As ready as we'll ever be. The Titan-class orbital defense platform is everything we hoped it would be. I just hope they understand what they're looking at." Jake nodded and looked at the covered machine. "Tell me again why it looks so different from their ships." Lisa's face grew serious. "Because we think differently than they do. The aliens build their ships to be fast and pretty. They use energy shields and plasma weapons because they think it makes them superior. But we humans learned something different from our wars on Earth." She walked over to the canvas and pulled back a corner. Underneath, thick metal plates showed, each one as wide as a car door and several inches thick. The metal was dark gray, almost black, with small scratches and marks from testing. "We learned that sometimes the best defense is not to avoid getting hit, but to take the hit and keep fighting. Our ships might not look as nice as theirs, but they can survive things that would destroy alien vessels in seconds." Jake ran his hand along the metal plating. It felt cold and solid, like touching a mountain. "And the weapons?" "Railguns," Lisa said with pride in her voice. "Not energy weapons like they use. We shoot solid metal bars at speeds so fast they become like bullets from God himself. Their energy shields won't stop a piece of tungsten moving at 30% of light speed." Other people began to enter the hangar. General Patricia Shaw arrived first, her gray hair pulled back tight and her uniform perfect as always. Behind her came Ambassador Helen Rodriguez, looking tired from her long flight from the space station. Then came the politicians, the reporters, and the scientists who would watch humanity's future unfold. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake announced as the crowd gathered, "today we show you the Titan-class orbital defense platform." Workers pulled away the canvas covers with dramatic timing. The crowd gasped, but not in the way Jake had hoped. Some people stepped back, others whispered to each other with worried looks. The Titan looked nothing like the sleek alien ships they had all seen on television. The platform was a monster of metal and machinery. Its surface was covered in thick armor plates that overlapped like dragon scales. Gun barrels stuck out from different angles, each one as wide as a telephone pole. Sensor arrays bristled from its sides like the spines of a metal porcupine. Warning lights blinked red and yellow across its hull. "It looks like a flying fortress," someone whispered. "More like a flying junkyard," another voice added. Lisa stepped forward, her chin raised high. The Titan represents a new approach to space combat. While other species focus on speed and elegance, we focused on survival and hitting power. This platform can take damage that would destroy 10 alien ships and keep fighting. She pointed to different parts of the machine as she spoke. The armor is layered and angled to deflect energy weapons. The internal structure has backup systems for the backup systems. If one part gets destroyed, 3 other parts can do the same job. Ambassador Rodriguez stepped closer to examine the platform. "What about the weapons, Dr. Carter?" 6 main railgun batteries, each capable of firing tungsten rods at relativistic speeds, 42-point defense systems for smaller targets, and 12 missile tubes loaded with kinetic interceptors. Lisa's voice grew stronger as she spoke about her creation. General Shaw nodded approvingly. "How does it compare to alien technology?" Lisa paused, choosing her words carefully. "Their ships are faster and more maneuverable. Their energy weapons can fire continuously without running out of ammunition. Their shields can deflect most energy-based attacks with ease. That doesn't sound encouraging, Senator Carl Davis said from the back of the crowd. But, Lisa continued, their ships are also fragile. Their hulls are thin to save weight. Their systems are connected in ways that make them efficient, but vulnerable. One good hit in the right place can disable their entire ship. The Titan is built differently. You can blow holes in it all day and it will keep shooting back. Jake activated a holographic display that showed the platform's internal structure. The crowd could see layers upon layers of armor, weapons, and machinery. Corridors ran through the structure like veins, allowing crew members to reach any part of the ship even if other sections were damaged. The crew compartments are in the center, surrounded by the heaviest armor, Jake explained. The reactors are spread throughout the platform, so losing one doesn't shut down the whole system. Even the computers are backed up multiple times. Dr. Ryan Foster, one of Lisa's engineers, stepped forward with a tablet in his hands. We've also included something the aliens haven't seen before. Our targeting computers don't just track where enemy ships are, they predict where they'll be based on their past movements. Most alien pilots follow predictable patterns without realizing it. The crowd murmured with interest, but Jake could see doubt in many faces. The Titan looked crude compared to the beautiful alien ships they had all seen. It looked like something built in a garage rather than a high-tech laboratory. Ambassador Rodriguez pulled Jake aside. Captain, I have to be honest with you, the Galactic Defense Council is not impressed with our preliminary reports. They think we're wasting everyone's time with primitive technology. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. Did they even look at the specifications? They looked, but they didn't see anything that impressed them. Admiral Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire called it a metal box with guns stuck on it. He said their newest scouts could destroy it without taking damage. Let them try, Lisa said, having overheard the conversation. Let them bring their pretty ships and their energy shields. We'll show them what human engineering can do. As the demonstration ended and the crowd began to leave, Jake noticed that most people looked worried rather than excited. They had expected to see something that looked like alien technology, something sleek and advanced. Instead, they saw something that looked like it belonged in a museum of ancient warfare. But Lisa smiled as she watched her creation. She knew something the others didn't understand yet. The Titan wasn't built to look impressive. It was built to win, and soon the galaxy would learn the difference between the two. 3 days after the demonstration, the mockery began. Commander Alex Bennett sat in the control room of the Titan platform, now floating in Earth's orbit like a metal mountain among the stars. His communication screen lit up with an incoming message from the Zephyrian fleet. He expected a formal greeting or maybe questions about human technology. Instead, he heard laughter. Is this the mighty human warship? Admiral Vextar's voice came through the speakers, filled with amusement. On the screen, Alex could see the alien commander's blue-scaled face twisted in what passed for a smile among his species. It looks like something our children would build from scrap metal. Behind the admiral, other Zephyrian officers pointed at images of the Titan and made chittering sounds that Alex recognized as their version of laughter. The sounds hurt his ears, but the insult hurt his pride more. This is Commander Bennett of the Titan Defense Platform, Alex replied, keeping his voice steady. How can I help you today, Admiral? Help us? Vextar's laughter grew louder. Young human, we are trying to help you. That floating junk pile you call a warship is an embarrassment to spacefaring species everywhere. We suggest you return to your planet before someone mistakes it for space debris and has it destroyed. The communication ended with more alien laughter. Alex stared at the blank screen, his hands clenched into fists. Around him, his crew looked angry and embarrassed. They had worked hard to build something they were proud of, only to have it mocked by beings who had never seen it fight. Dr. Lisa Carter was having similar problems on Earth. She sat in her laboratory watching alien news broadcasts on multiple screens. Every channel seemed to be showing footage of the Titan platform alongside commentary that made her want to throw things. The human attempt at military technology appears to be based on primitive concepts, said a Crystalline Collective reporter. her voice ringing like broken glass. Analysis of their so-called defense platform shows thick armor plating reminiscent of ancient ground-based vehicles. Their weapons appear to be simple kinetic launchers, technology that most species abandoned centuries ago. On another screen, a group of Void Syndicate military experts were examining technical drawings of the Titan that someone had leaked to them. Their dark, flowing forms moved around the images like living shadows. "Look at this power consumption," one of them hissed. "The humans waste more energy on life support systems than our entire weapons array requires. And these armor plates, they must weigh more than our fastest scout ships." Lisa turned off the screens and called her team together. Ryan Foster arrived first, followed by Maria Lopez and the other engineers who had worked on the project. They all looked tired and frustrated. "I've been getting calls all morning," Maria said as she sat down. "Scientists from other projects want to know why we wasted so much money on something the aliens call useless." "The politicians are worse," Ryan added. "Senator Davis called 3 times asking if we can make the platform look more like alien ships. He thinks the appearance is hurting Earth's reputation." Lisa stood up and walked to the window that looked out toward the launch pad where they had first revealed the Titan. "Let them laugh," she said quietly. "Let them mock our thick armor and our simple weapons. They don't understand what they're looking at." "But what if they're right?" Maria asked. "What if we did build something that can't compete with their technology?" Lisa turned back to face her team. "Maria, how long have you been studying alien ship designs?" 5 years, ever since we made first contact. "And what's the one thing all their ships have in common?" Maria thought for a moment. "They're all built the same way. Thin hulls, energy shields, plasma weapons. Every species uses basically the same approach." "Exactly," Lisa said. "They've all been fighting each other for so long that they think there's only one way to build a warship. They've forgotten that there might be other solutions to the same problems." Ryan looked up from his tablet. "The technical forums are full of alien engineers explaining why our design won't work. They say our railguns are too slow, our armor is too heavy, and our power systems are too wasteful." "What do you think, Ryan?" Lisa asked. Ryan smiled for the first time in days. "I think they're about to learn why Earth fought so many wars before we reached the stars. We didn't have energy shields, so we learned to build things that could take hits and keep fighting. We didn't have plasma weapons, so we learned to throw rocks really, really hard." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the mockery was spreading to other alien species. The news of Earth's primitive defense platform had reached every corner of the galaxy, and reactions were always the same. On the homeworld of the Ethereal Consortium, scientists gathered around holographic displays showing the Titan's specifications. Their gaseous forms shimmered with what could only be described as amusement. "The humans still use solid projectiles," one of them whispered in a voice like wind through trees. "How delightfully primitive. Do they expect to hunt space whales with their metal spears?" The Quantum Collective, beings of pure energy who lived inside crystalline matrices, found the human design equally amusing. "They have built a fortress that cannot move quickly," their collective consciousness observed. "In space combat, mobility is everything. This human creation will be destroyed before it can fire a single shot." But not everyone was laughing. Inside a secret meeting room on the Crystalline Collective's capital ship, Supreme Navigator Kilthera studied the human design with more serious attention. Her crystal body pulsed with different colors as she thought, "There is something about this design that troubles me," she told her advisors. "The humans are not a stupid species. They would not build something this different unless they had a reason." "What reason could they have?" asked one of her military commanders. "The design violates every principle of modern space warfare." "Perhaps," Kilthera said slowly. "That is exactly the point." She stood up, her crystal form catching the light and throwing rainbows across the room. "I want to see this human platform tested in combat. Issue a formal challenge. Tell them we wish to see a demonstration of their technology against one of our patrol squadrons." "A challenge?" The commander's crystal body flickered with surprise. "Supreme Navigator, our weakest patrol ships could destroy that primitive platform without taking damage." "Then the demonstration should be brief and educational," Kilthera replied. "The humans will learn the superiority of our technology, and The galaxy will see that primitive approaches to warfare have no place among the stars. The challenge was issued the next day through official diplomatic channels. Ambassador Helen Rodriguez received it while she was trying to deal with other problems caused by the platform's poor reception. "They want to what?" she asked her aide, after reading the message. "The Crystalline Collective has issued a formal challenge for a combat demonstration. They're calling it a friendly exhibition match, but everyone knows it's really a test to see if human technology is worth taking seriously." Helen sat down heavily in her chair. "How many ships are they sending?" 3 cruisers from their standard patrol fleet, the kind they use for routine security operations. "And they expect our one platform to fight 3 of their warships?" "They're being generous," her aide said with bitter sarcasm. "They could have sent a whole battle group." Helen looked out the window at Earth below, its blue surface peaceful and beautiful. Soon that peace might be shattered if humanity couldn't prove itself worthy of respect among the stars. "Send word to Captain Morrison and Commander Bennett," she said finally. "Tell them to prepare the Titan for combat. It looks like we're going to find out if Dr. Carter's faith in human engineering is justified." As the message traveled to the orbiting platform, Alex Bennett read it with mixed feelings. Part of him was angry at the alien arrogance, but another part of him was excited. Finally, they would have a chance to show what the Titan could really do. The mockery would continue for a few more days until the shooting started. Then the galaxy would learn whether human engineering was truly primitive or simply different. And difference, Alex thought, as he looked at his crew preparing for battle, might be exactly what they needed. The Kepler 442 system had been chosen as neutral ground for the combat demonstration. Far from any inhabited worlds, it was the perfect place to test weapons without worrying about innocent people getting hurt. Commander Alex Bennett stood on the bridge of the Titan platform, watching the empty space around him fill with alien ships. They came from everywhere, crystalline collective vessels that looked like flying cathedrals made of glass and light, void syndicate ships that seemed to bend darkness around themselves, Zephyrian cruisers with hulls that sparkled blue and silver. Even species that Alex had never seen before had sent representatives to watch what they expected to be humanity's humiliation. "Contact from the observation fleet," reported Lieutenant Kate Williams from her communication station. "They're asking us to confirm that we understand the rules of engagement." Alex nodded. "Tell them we understand. 3 Zephyrian cruisers against our platform. Combat continues until one side surrenders or is disabled. No weapons that could damage the observer ships." On his main screen, Alex could see the 3 Zephyrian vessels approaching from the far side of the system. Even at this distance, they were beautiful. The Stellar Blade, Cosmic Fury, and Void Piercer moved through space like dancers, their hulls gleaming with the light of distant stars. Energy fields flickered around them as their shields powered up. "They're taking their time," observed Chief Engineer Tony Martinez from his position at the technical station. "Probably want to give the observers a good show." "Let them," Alex replied. "Dr. Carter, are you receiving our telemetry clearly?" On Earth, Lisa Carter sat in the command center surrounded by screens showing every detail of the Titan's systems. "We're getting everything, Alex. All systems are green. The platform is performing exactly as designed." Around her, politicians and military leaders watched nervously. Senator Carl Davis paced back and forth behind the chairs, his face pale with worry. General Patricia Shaw stood with her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. "How confident are you, Doctor?" Senator Davis asked for the 10th time that day. Lisa didn't take her eyes off the screens. "The Titan was built for this, Senator. Everything we've done, every decision we've made has been leading to this moment." In space, the Zephyrian ships had reached their attack positions. Admiral Vextar's voice came through the communication system, filled with the same arrogance Alex had heard before. "Human Commander, this is your last chance to withdraw. We do not wish to destroy your primitive vessel in front of so many witnesses, but we will if you insist on this foolishness." Alex looked around his bridge at his crew. These were good people, engineers and soldiers who had worked for months to make the Titan everything it could be. They deserved better than to be mocked and dismissed without a fair chance. "Admiral Vextar," Alex replied, "we appreciate your concern, but we're ready to proceed. Begin when you're ready. The Zephyrian ship spread out into an attack formation that Alex had studied many times. It was a standard pattern used by most alien species, designed to maximize the effectiveness of energy weapons while minimizing the chance of hitting each other with crossfire. "They're charging their weapons," reported Lieutenant Williams. "Energy. Readings are climbing fast." Alex watched the tactical display as the alien ships prepared to attack. Red icons showed the increasing power levels of their plasma cannons and particle beams. It was impressive technology, capable of melting through most known materials with ease. "All stations, prepare for incoming fire," Alex announced. "Remember, we know what we're doing. Stick to the plan." The attack came like a lightning storm. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the Zephyrian ships, converging on the Titan platform from 3 different directions. The space around the human vessel lit up like a small sun as the weapons struck. Inside the platform, the crew felt the impacts as vibrations through the hull. Warning lights flashed as the outer armor absorbed energy that would have vaporized most ships instantly. But the Titan had been built to take punishment. "Armor holding," reported Tony Martinez. "We're losing some of the outer plating, but the main structure is solid." On the observation ships, alien commanders watched with growing confusion. They had expected the human platform to be destroyed in the first few seconds of combat. Instead, it was sitting in space, scarred but intact, like a mountain that had been struck by lightning. "Impossible," whispered Supreme Navigator Kilthera from her command ship. "No vessel should be able to absorb that much energy." Admiral Vextar was equally surprised. His 3 ships had fired everything they had at the human platform, using enough energy to destroy a small asteroid. Yet the ugly metal box continued to float in space, its weapon systems turning to track his vessels. "Fire again," he ordered. "Concentrate all fire on their central section." The second barrage was even more intense than the first. The Zephyrian ships poured energy into the Titan platform, their weapons cycling at maximum power. But again, the no human vessel absorbed the punishment. Its thick armor plates glowed red-hot from the impacts, but they held. Alex smiled grimly as he watched the tactical display. "That's enough playing defense. All batteries. Target the Void Piercer." "Firing. Solution Alpha 7. Targeting systems locked," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the weapons station. "Railgun batteries 1 through 3 are ready to fire." "Fire," Alex commanded. The Titan's response was different from anything the watching aliens had ever seen. Instead of beams of energy, the human platform launched solid metal projectiles at incredible speed. Tungsten rods, each one as long as a person and moving at 30% of light speed, streaked across space toward their target. The first salvo missed. The Void Piercer's pilot, following standard evasive procedures, managed to avoid the incoming projectiles by a few hundred meters. Alien observers nodded approvingly. The human weapons were slow and predictable, just as they had expected. But the second salvo was different. Dr. Carter's targeting computers had been analyzing the alien ship's movement patterns, learning how its pilot thought and reacted. The predictions were fed into the railgun systems, calculating not where the ship was but where it would be. The tungsten rod struck the Void Piercer amidships at a relative velocity that turned metal into plasma on impact. The Zephyrian ships, energy shields designed to deflect or absorb energy-based attacks, offered no protection against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The projectile punched through the shield matrix, as if it wasn't there. It tore through the hull like paper, vaporizing everything in its path as it transferred its kinetic energy to the ship's structure. Internal bulkheads, control systems, and crew compartments were destroyed in milliseconds. The Void Piercer split in half, its front and rear sections spinning away from each other in clouds of debris and escaping atmosphere. Emergency beacons began broadcasting distress signals as escape pods launched from the wreckage. Silence fell across the communication channels. The alien observers stared in shock as they realized what they had just witnessed. The primitive human weapon had destroyed a modern Zephyrian cruiser in a single hit. Admiral Vextar felt fear creep into his heart for the first time in decades. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. Do not let them target you." But Alex was already giving orders for the next attack. The Titan platform's multiple weapon systems swiveled to track the remaining alien ships, and the tungsten rods were already being loaded for the next salvo. The test had become a real battle, and the galaxy was about to learn that human engineering was not primitive at all. It was just different. And sometimes different was exactly what you needed to win. The destruction of the Void Piercer sent shockwaves through the alien observation fleet. On dozens of ships, commanders who had been laughing just minutes before now stared at their screens in disbelief. The wreckage of the Zephyrian cruiser tumbled slowly through space, its hull split open like a broken egg. Admiral Vextar felt his hands shaking as he gripped his command chair. In 200 years of military service, he had never seen a ship destroyed so completely with a single shot. The human weapon had punched through their most advanced shields as if they were made of soap bubbles. "Status report," he demanded from his bridge crew. "The Void Piercer is completely destroyed," his tactical officer reported, his voice barely a whisper. "We're detecting 47 escape pods, but the main hull is beyond salvage." On the remaining ships, Cosmic Fury and Stellar Blade, panic was beginning to spread among the crews. These were experienced soldiers who had fought in many battles, but they had never faced weapons like the ones the humans were using. Commander Alex Bennett watched his tactical display as the two surviving Zephyrian ships tried to regroup. Their formation was broken, their confidence shattered, but he knew the battle was far from over. Wounded enemies were often the most dangerous. "Target the Cosmic Fury," Alex ordered. "Load interceptor rounds in tubes 4 through 6. Lieutenant, Sarah Kim worked quickly at her weapons station. "Targeting computers are tracking their evasive pattern. They're trying to use random movements to avoid our predictions." "Smart," Alex admitted, "but not smart enough. Dr. Carter's computers have been watching how Zephyrians fly for months. There are patterns even in their randomness." On Earth, Lisa Carter monitored the battle while surrounded by military leaders and politicians who no longer looked worried. Instead, they looked amazed. Senator Carl Davis had stopped pacing and was staring at the screens with his mouth open. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Their technology is supposed to be centuries ahead of ours." "Different doesn't mean better," Lisa replied without taking her eyes off the data streaming from the Titan platform. "They've been using the same approaches to warfare for so long that they forgot there might be other ways to solve the same problems." In space, Admiral Vextar was learning this lesson the hard way. He ordered the Cosmic Fury to attack the human platform with everything it had, hoping to overwhelm their defenses through sheer firepower. The Zephyrian ship unleashed a barrage of energy weapons that lit up the darkness like a small star. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and exotic energy projectors all fired at once, pouring enough power into the Titan platform to melt a small moon. But the human fortress absorbed the punishment just as it had before. Its layered armor glowed white, hot in some places, and chunks of outer plating were blasted away by the intense heat. But the core structure remained intact, protected by redundant systems and engineering principles that the aliens didn't understand. "Their armor is ablative," observed Supreme Navigator Kilthara from her observation ship. "Each layer that burns away protects the layers beneath. It's crude but effective." "More than effective," admitted one of her advisors. "It's brilliant. They built their ship to lose pieces without losing function. The Cosmic Fury's attack had drained its energy reserves and now it needed time to recharge. That was time Commander Bennett didn't intend to give them. "Fire," he ordered. The Titans' railguns spoke again, launching tungsten rods at velocities that turned physics into a weapon. The Cosmic Fury tried to dodge, its pilot using every evasive maneuver in the Zephyrian tactical manual. But Lisa Carter's computers had predicted this too. The first rod missed by inches. The second struck the ship's engine section, and the Cosmic Fury's entire rear end vanished in a ball of superheated plasma. The ship spun helplessly through space, trailing debris and leaking atmosphere from dozens of holes torn in its hull. "Cosmic Fury is disabled," reported Lieutenant Williams. "They're broadcasting surrender signals." Admiral Vexitar stared at the wreckage of his second ship, his mind struggling to accept what was happening. 2 of his best cruisers had been destroyed, or crippled by a single human platform that looked like it had been built in a scrapyard. "Admiral," his communications officer called out. "We're receiving messages from the observation fleet. Some of them are suggesting we withdraw." "Withdraw?" Vextar's voice was filled with rage and humiliation. "We came here to show these primitive humans their place in the galaxy. I will not be driven away by their metal box." He turned to his tactical officer. "Ramming speed. If we cannot destroy them with weapons, we will crush them with our hull." The stellar blade turned toward the Titan platform and began to accelerate. Its engines burned at maximum power, pushing the sleek cruiser faster and faster toward the human fortress. At this speed, even the thick human armor would not be able to withstand the impact. Alex watched the alien ship approaching on his tactical display. "They're trying to ram us. All hands, brace for impact." But Lisa Carter had one more surprise, for the galaxy to see. "Alex, activate the rotation system. Full defensive configuration." "Understood. Initiating armor rotation." The Titan platform began to move in ways that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about large space structures. Massive armor sections rotated around the platform's core, presenting fresh, undamaged plates to the incoming threat. The entire outer hull shifted and moved like a living thing, redistributing its mass and strength. The stellar blade struck the Titan at tremendous speed, its crystalline hull designed to cut through space like a knife, but instead of hitting a stationary target, it crashed into a moving, rotating shield that redirected its momentum and absorbed its kinetic energy through dozens of overlapping systems. The alien ship crumpled like a tin can hitting a stone wall. Its beautiful hull, so elegant and graceful in flight, shattered against the human platform's rotating armor. The impact sent vibrations through both vessels, but while the Titan shook and groaned, it held together. The stellar blade broke apart like a glass sculpture dropped on concrete. In the wreckage, Admiral Vextar found himself trapped in what remained of his command center. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the twisted metal around him, and he could hear the hiss of escaping atmosphere through cracks in the hull. His pride was broken as completely as his ship. The primitive human platform floated nearby, scarred and battered but still intact, still dangerous, still victorious. "This is Admiral Vextar," he broadcast on the emergency frequency. "I request permission to surrender to the human commander." The words tasted like poison in his mouth, but they had to be said. His ships were destroyed, his crews were dying, and his certainty about alien superiority lay in ruins around him. Commander Bennett's voice came back calm and professional. "Permission granted, Admiral. We're sending rescue ships to pick up your survivors." Across the observation fleet, alien commanders sat in stunned silence. What they had witnessed went against everything they thought they knew about warfare, technology, and the place of humans in the galactic community. Supreme Navigator Kilthara was the first to break the silence. "Open a channel to the human platform," she ordered. "Commander Bennett," her crystal voice rang across space. "The Crystalline Collective wishes to discuss mutual defense agreements with Earth. It appears we have much to learn from human engineering." Similar messages began flooding in from other species. The mockery had ended, replaced by cautious respect and more than a little fear. Ambassador Helen Rodriguez, watching from Earth, found herself fielding calls from alien diplomats who had ignored her for months. The Titan platform hung in space, victorious but humble. Its crew had proven that different approaches could succeed where traditional methods failed. They had shown the galaxy that humans belonged among the stars not because they copied alien technology, but because they brought their own unique solutions to the challenges of space. Dr. Lisa Carter smiled as she watched the rescue operations begin. Her ugly, primitive platform had done exactly what she had designed it to do. It had survived, it had fought, and it had won. Sometimes, that was all that mattered. The age of human space power had begun, built on thick armor, redundant systems, and the simple philosophy that the best defense was not to avoid getting hit, but to take the hit and keep fighting. The galaxy would never underestimate human engineering again.